You know, I don't know if I've ever had a chance to thank Carmen for all the great work she's done too, because she's been such a wonderful supporter, not just to me personally, but just a member of the Board of Supervisors. And her great leadership really was exemplified by her leadership this year on the budget committee for the board, because not only did we pass a balanced budget, but did you know I hadn't seen a time where when we introduced a budget to a standing ovation at the Board of Supervisors chamber. That's unheard of, because we did it right. We did it with people in the community. We did it with community-based agencies, residents. We held over 10 budget town hall meetings all over the city, including everybody's input as to how to balance the budget that was $380 million short. So I want to thank Supervisor Chiu for her wonderful leadership and for helping, not me, but helping the city and the mayor's office and the board work closely together. That's what I've been about. Thank you very much. No, I haven't had a chance to talk to a lot of you one-on-one or make a whole lot of speeches. I just got started in this race for the mayor, but what I want to do is maybe take a moment and share with you a bit of my own history. I began about 35 years ago here. My first job was being an attorney in the community. And I joined the Asian Law Caucus, and I worked on behalf of low-income immigrants, residents of Chinatown primarily, but all over the city, because my clients ended up coming into Chinatown to find legal services that were free, that we could afford to do at that time. And working with residents of Chinatown, we found out through a number of years as an attorney that a lot of people didn't have access to government at the time. They kind of felt and kind of allowed me to have those strong feelings that government wasn't working as well as it could, didn't represent everybody, didn't offer language bridges for people to communicate, just wasn't as welcoming in those years in the early 70s. I worked hard to try to change that. And as I began 22 years ago working in city government, from the Human Rights Commission to then the purchaser and then Public Works, the hardest job I ever had, and city administrator, I learned along the way that the values of San Francisco were all about getting everybody involved with their government, making sure every neighborhood was represented. That not only representation, but you can talk to people and have them respond to your needs. That was not happening in the Pingyuan projects back in the early 70s. That's why there was so much anger from minority communities all across the city, because our government really didn't reflect or represent us. I had 22 years of opportunity to change that, and each year in each department that I've headed, we brought in more people of color, women, people, residents. We got, when we was purchaser in the Human Rights Commission, we got contracts to people. $1 billion of city contracts were never even touched by minority and women-owned companies in this city until we made those changes. And I'm proud to say that after those 22 years, a lot more of our communities are involved in our city government, every aspect of it. Whether they're part of the social network of services that we provide, or part of the contracting businesses, or simply a lot of residents being employees of our great city. Every one of those years have been spent trying to make sure our doors are wide open and making sure that we represented every part of our community. Well, now that I've gotten the chance to be your interim mayor since January, I've also worked hard to reflect those very same values as we tackled the budget balancing that we've done, as we tackled pension reform, as we got America's Cup started. I want to make sure that those plans reflect every community in this city's participation in one of the grandest events we'll ever host. We also got started a really serious effort on local hire. And that doesn't mean just in construction. It means all the businesses, including Twitter and others that we've saved to make sure they're here, that we create jobs for San Franciscans. And in between that time, I kept a very, very close relationship with our school district. Because guess what? Many of you here, you look young to me, and certainly can understand how education is linked to the new jobs in the city. I've been about open government. I've been about making sure the neighborhoods and the various diverse neighborhoods of the city are included in the way we run government. And then now, for these first 7 months, working hard on these issues, working hard on making sure we had a good police chief that represented everybody's interests in public safety and does community policing the right way, involving all aspects of the community, including our new community ambassadors that we introduced after we saw some of these violence incidences occurred. That was part of my idea. That was what I pushed for. And I think they've been welcomed by everybody here. We're going to do more of that community type of policing as mayor of your city. All of these efforts I've worked hard at, but one of the main reasons that I'm here for you today is we have changed the tone in which we run government. That's been a big departure from past years. I still have in my mind kind of the yelling, the screaming, the name calling, right in our Board of Supervisor chambers, or between the mayor's office and the board, or sometimes, unfortunately, with community residents. I've tried very hard to change that, because no community feels welcome at City Hall when they're so distracting about name calling and using profanity to govern our city. That's not what I want. I want a government that is civil to everybody, that is welcoming everybody, that has calm discussions about very serious issues that we have in the city. And one of the number one issues that everybody wants us to address is job creation. Where are our youth? If they do their part and they study the hardest they can, do they have the hope in our city to create the jobs that they want? I want to make sure I'm there for them. I want to make sure all of our departments are making our economy stable enough for companies like Twitter or Zynga or Salesforce, the new companies coming in, that they open their doors, create the new apprenticeship programs, not just the ones that we're working on now with laborers union or carpenters or some of the other craft unions. There are new apprenticeship programs to be created with our technology companies that will link the desire for our youth to be part of these companies and get those good paying jobs, and the need for them to be able to have quality individuals that participate in these new technology jobs. There's still a gap there with our education. I want to be a leader here to make sure that gap is covered. So civility is the rule of the day at City Hall, at least as far and as long as I'm mayor. There's going to be everybody's voice welcomed here, and you're going to be treated with the dignity that you want. Every voice, no matter what language you have. I will assure of that. I will make sure that we continue working on the things that you want us to work on. Creating jobs, making sure our communities are safe, and making sure that we are successful in everything that we do. That we're successful, not only America's Cup, we're still successful in being the tourism city that we are. And by the way, to remind everybody here today that when it comes to jobs, when it comes to creating businesses, opportunities located here, that you understand and we all understand and appreciate, we're an international city. We're a city that so many people want to come here to do business, to get business done, to create the relationships they don't have today. And because we are an international global headquarters for so many other businesses, we want to make sure we can export San Francisco values and businesses to everybody else. Because that's how it's done today. It's done by the cooperation that we have, that you've seen at the Board of Soups, working with the mayor. It's done by us attacking problems directly and seriously. It's done by us including all of the neighborhoods. Latino, African American, Asian American, Vietnamese, Russian, Korean. We are the diverse city of San Francisco, and I will assure you I will work every single day to make sure that diversity is reflected in everything we do. Thank you very much.